Welcome back to Out Loud with Steve and Mal. It's time for our favorite segment. We call it the Cornered Celebrity. I have brought on a longtime friend of mine. He's already laughing. He is the front man from the band Vertical Horizon. I know people want to see Matt. They want to hear Matt. As always, Matt, Matt, Matt. Matt, welcome to the show. How are you, my friends? Good to see you.
I'm great. It's great to see you, Steve and Mal. Thank you for having me.
Cornered
Pleasure.
Celebrity, you're laughing. What's going on?
Well,
Okay.
I mean, you say
Yes,
cornered. If I'm cornered, if I know from the outset that
yes.
I'm cornered, I mean, you're
Yeah,
setting a tone, guys.
Oh my
exactly. I
God.
know. I know. Put the stick down, Matt. Put the stick down.
Oh my God. So you could see I'm full support of Vertical
Oh,
Horizon. We've been friends for years. Love the music. Every time you show up, wherever you are, I am always there. So I am just so glad that you kind of joined us here. So
I like the way
yeah,
you share the merchandise. I've got nothing behind me. You hogged it all.
yeah.
Everything. Baseball
Seriously.
caps, t-shirts, everything. You took everything. Sorry, Matt. I've got nothing
No,
here in London.
now I'm gonna hook you up. It's just the mail takes a long time to get to you.
Thank
That's
you.
all.
It's that carrier pigeon.
I did get her a baseball cap. So we had her sign last time I saw you, a
Oh
baseball
yeah.
cap that I had you
Yes, thank
sign.
you
So we
very much.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Oh yes, that's right. My pleasure.
And I saw
Absolutely.
with the tour that I have behind me, just before I saw you were coming from Indonesia. So my first question is the fans in Indonesia versus America. That must be what a time warp, or what's the relationship with out there? Are they screaming all the lyrics along with you?
Yeah, it's interesting. Asia has there's a real passion, a real sort of fervor with which they sort of like get into the show and sing along
Mhm.
and it's pretty amazing. I mean, we've been fortunate to be able to go back there with some regularity, different markets in Asia, and I mean, it's a joy. So I grew up in Massachusetts. I grew up in a small town in Massachusetts. And for me to think now, however many years later, it's been a long time, that my songs would sort of carry around this beautiful planet we inhabit and sort of uh, get into people's hearts and people's
Mhm.
lives.
Mhm.
It's overwhelming and such an immense privilege. And when we go, so far away as to places like Indonesia, the Philippines, and Singapore, it really reminds us of how lucky we are to have people who love our songs that
Mhm.
much.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Now I have a
it's
question about
amazing.
when I was telling Mal the first time I actually heard you play. This goes back to 1994 when I worked at a Vegas station. I had a vinyl of one of your independent releases, Run on
Whoa,
Ice, and I wore
whoa,
out The Man Who Would Be Santa. I wore that
oh,
out, and of
oh,
course being
thanks, buddy.
yelled at, for
Great.
playing that at the
Yeah,
time. So that's how far
yeah.
back I've been listening to Vertical Horizon. So
Thank you, my friend. You've been an amazing supporter, and it means the world to me.
mhm.
And it is all like you said. I love that you come to shows when we're nearby, and it's always great to see you. You're always taller than I remember you being, which is
Keeps growing.
yeah. You're kind of whatever you're doing. I don't know if it's like
Growing. It's got to
athletic
grow much time.
greens.
Yeah.
It's funny. It is. It's not my
Crazy.
hair. It's not that,
Ooh.
because
Oh
So
yeah.
Matt, for the UK listeners that are tuned in, how did your journey start? How did you kind of take that first step into the music industry?
So I started the band with a classmate of mine at Georgetown University in Washington, D.C.,
Mhm.
a guy named Keith Kane. And we started the band as an acoustic duo. And we traveled around the country, around the United States, and slowly sort of grew in a very grassroots sort of way. And then we eventually wound up selling 70,000 units of independent CDs that we manufactured ourselves.
Mhm.
And once we crossed that number, the major labels sort of started to take notice of us and sort of think like, hey, why are you doing this without our help? And how are you doing this without our help? And
Yeah.
then they sort of came to the table. We wound up signing with RCA Records, who for a very, for a couple of years, it was an absolutely amazing relationship. We released Everything You Want and had some success, certainly big success in the United States, some success in other places around the world. And then there was a regime change at RCA Records. The president, who really loved us, was let go, and a new guy came in who really didn't particularly care for us. And then things kind of changed, and we were released from our deal with them. And since then, we've been making records on our own with a label that I own, and we've been able to sort of just continue. It's interesting. We sort of took a major label sort of pivot for a while, a little sidetrack on the majors, and then we've kind of come back to the grassroots methodology, and it's been really good to us. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Do you
but
prefer, do you prefer being independent?
you know, on some levels, absolutely. It is nice to, I mean, the truth of the matter is you can make a lot less money as an entity and take and hold on to the lion's share of the proceeds. So it gives you the opportunity to be an independent musician and still earn a living. But I will say, you know, if you have the right deal with the right personnel, a major label, you know, deal can be incredible. You
Of
can
course, the big
you have
machine.
resources. Yeah, the resources that they have are just completely otherworldly. So I
Yeah.
think both. But you know, both sides have their advantages. For me, at this point in my life, I'm 53 years old. Being an independent artist makes all the sense in the world, and that's not to say that we wouldn't consider some partnership in some way if someone were passionate enough about us. But you know, the internet obviously has changed everything. Streaming, you know, if you own the records, if you own the master recordings, then streaming income is actually up. So it actually, you know, is starting to move the needle a little bit. And it's not
Yeah.
just about money, but I do have to say, as a business owner, right? I need to. This thing needs to make sense. If this is my career, it needs to make sense. And for where
Absolutely.
we are right now, yeah, it's a good situation.
And I think it's that creative control as well of knowing where you want to take your work. Sometimes you can be signed in these labels, they feel that it's other tracks that you need to be doing, and you don't have
Oh,
that connection. It's like banging your head against the wall as an artist. So
yeah.
it's great that you've
Well,
got an independent approach because you're like, I'm going to release that, I'm going to do that. That's my video, and that's
yeah.
how it's going to be. You can execute everything to the way you want to deliver that, which is great. So,
And that's the most important thing. But I have to say, it's like without being able to pay your rent or your mortgage or
of
whatever,
course,
you can't. Then there's nothing. But you're absolutely right. I mean, I almost take for granted now. I don't, but I almost do that. I'm not going to give anybody any say or control of the way our music sounds, the
Mhm.
songs that I write. I mean, it is 100% purely what inspires me and inspires us. And if we don't like it, it's not going on a record. I'm
Mhm.
not. There's no discussion. There's no notes from
great.
someone else. Hey, we have you heard Taylor
Right.
Swift's new song? We think you should make
Yeah,
that sound more like. It's
Please
like, come
don't.
on, buddy.
No,
it's not
no.
No,
happening.
no. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's a non-starter, and to your point, Mal, that's really what it's all about. But there
of
is
course.
this nice balance when you can earn a living and be completely artistically free,
Yeah,
and that's kind of where I find myself right now, which is
perfect place to live.
it's incredible. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
Now,
bless.
talk about making a living. You start out and you get a psych degree. So you
Yeah.
wanted really to be Dr. Matt. And I know you've
Yeah.
already analyzed us as being
Yeah, I'm
crazy.
just sitting here thinking, oh no, Matt's analysing us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
You've
That's
got the
right.
Yeah.
right look right
What
there,
did
the
you think?
finger.
What did you think of
Yeah.
me, Matt? First
Yeah.
impression, not him.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Mal, you had two brothers and sisters, and you were no, yeah. It is interesting.
Buddy.
I worked in an adult daycare center with Alzheimer's patients when I
Okay.
graduated from college.
Okay.
My grandfather passed away from complications from Alzheimer's,
Mm.
and so that the journey that I sort of experienced and my family experienced as he was sort of declining was deeply, deeply impactful. And I wanted to, I was drawn to that profession. But the thing that I loved the most was music. It just kind of, I grew up in a very sort of fiscally conservative
Mm.
New England family. A career in the arts wasn't probably something that they ever envisioned that would happen for myself. And so it was kind of like, well, that you can dream of doing that, but let's be
Won't be the day
practical, you
job.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, it was what you know that experience with my grandfather was deeply impactful, and I studied psychology, and I don't know that I ever thought I would have been Doctor Scannell, Steve, but I certainly would have been. Yeah, I certainly would have been like Mister Scannell. You know, there would have
Yeah.
been something. It wouldn't have been Matt. I'm not Matt in that world. You know.
You could
Now
be.
tell Matt what you did recently when we were all at the production meeting out in Chicago. What did you do when you booked the restaurant? Tell him the truth.
I said it was Dr. Steve was the reservation. Okay, I admit it. I
So
did.
we walk up to the maitre d' and she says, "Hi, can I help you?" And he goes, "Yeah, this is Dr. Steve." And we were like, "You're not
Oh
a
my
doctor."
god.
I got a
That
better
is
table. Come on.
so great. Oh,
Hey, come
Steve,
on.
you're incorrigible, sir.
I
It's
had to do
awful.
it. I
The
had
worst thing was, yeah, we went back 2 days later. Then he booked it under Dr. Benz. So he also changed the surname the second visit.
man, come on.
Amazing.
Come on.
Amazing.
You did
No,
that.
not
Come
amazing, Matt.
on. You did
Embarrassing.
it.
Embarrassing and but also inspired. And Steve, I have to tell you that you may have just changed my life a little bit.
Yeah,
I bet, you're gonna be placing tables.
that
You'll
could be
be
the
up
Well,
with,
next single title, Dr. Benz.
yeah, here we go. Dr. Matt. There it is, sitting down. I get
oh
it.
my
I get
gosh.
it.
Man that keeps
Considering
booking restaurant. Yeah.
when I saw you recently, I thought like music is therapy. Okay, let's be real. Music is
Yeah.
therapy, and seeing the people, the line that was waiting to talk to you, and
Mm,
as people were getting emotional as they were getting to you, that has
yeah.
got to be just a rush. And again, yeah, I'm a jokester, I get all that, but the connection that your music has with your fans, I cannot imagine. I don't have that kind of talent. I don't. I can't do anything. So
Well, I mean, obviously you're being self-effacing, but I think yeah, it is. Uh, it's hard to put into words, right? When someone is saying hello to you and they're clearly, emotional about a connection that they have with our songs. Um, it reminds me of when I was a kid. I've told this story a lot, but so I'll tell it briefly. I went to see to Billy Joel at Madison Square Garden, and we
wow.
had the worst seats at Madison Square Garden, like the ones that were $20 instead of $30 back in 1980 or whatever it was. And when he played Piano Man, we all sang so loud that he stopped and he just let us sing.
Mhm.
And I had never experienced anything like that. And I thought, well, that's got to be the ultimate,
Mm.
right? For a songwriter to experience something like that. And now, so many years later, I've had that same experience all over the world. And but it's not I never take it for granted because I'm always so clearly connected to myself as a 13-year-old seeing
Mm.
Billy Joel. So when people do say something like your song has meant a lot to me, I know what that feels like. I mean, I desperately love music. I have all my life. And I know how I feel about the artists that shaped me and impacted me. And so I can be just grateful in that moment that someone else feels that way about something that I've written. I mean, it sort of takes my breath away, and it continues to happen, like you say, Steve. I mean, that's one of the amazing things about these songs is they go out into the ether and they exist. And maybe someone might have been too young to have heard it or experienced it when it was first out or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
But now they come back around, and so we find younger people coming to our shows and telling us stories about my father played me this song when I was growing up.
Sure.
It's like this is fabulous. I love it.
Beauty of music.
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
Like,
recently, you're starting to play more cover songs. Like you came out and you played The Cure. Dude,
yeah.
I was like up in front screaming, going, dude, that is awesome to do
Cool.
that. And I'm starting to see
Yeah,
more bands do that. Is a reason for that? Is the like what was the tie to playing like The Cure or your favorite
yeah.
songs? Because I have a follow-up question to that.
So Disintegration is one of the records that impacted
Mm.
me most deeply in my life. And that song, Love Song, that we've been playing, I think
Hmm.
is a perfect. It makes me emotional just thinking about the song. It is such a perfect song, and to you know just to, for us, it's almost more just like, let's joyously celebrate some songs that have had a huge impact on
Sure.
us.
Yeah.
And on some levels, it's also to, because we have people who come to our shows who may be the significant other of the person who is the hardcore Vertical Horizon fan,
Right.
right?
Right.
So I do think that there's also an element of like, hey, okay, even if you don't love us, or if tonight's your first Vertical Horizon experience, we're gonna play a song by a band who you probably do know and probably do like and love. So it kind of does a multitude of things. It kind of keeps things fresh for us. It changes things up for our audience, gives people who maybe are not as familiar with our catalog an experience of us celebrating another artist's music. We were out on the road with Train
Mm.
a couple of years ago, and they played five cover tunes, or you know
Hmm.
moments of five different songs. And Pat is an absolutely incredible singer. I mean, a
Yes.
mind-blowingly
Yeah.
great singer. And so you give him the opportunity to play a Led Zeppelin song, and he's going to crush it, right? And it kind of inspired me to say, okay, cool, like maybe we could try to do something different. I don't know. It's more than anything, it's just fun.
Yeah, it is. And in my follow up, you came out and you sang Purple Rain. I thought you were going to pull off the little assless chaps that Prince had and wore. I I
Yeah.
I stepped
We,
back and I was waiting
yeah.
for it. But man, did you
Yeah.
kick ass on that song.
Thank you, buddy. Well, I'll work on the pants for the next one.
The next one.
Yeah. Mal, how do you feel about the as Steve has so eloquently said, the assless chaps? What are your
Well,
thoughts of that?
personally, I just think you need to maybe give it some thought, Matt. Like, don't
Okay,
jump
all
in the
right.
deep end too soon. I must
Right.
let everyone know that's listening to this interview, Steve does already own some. He came into the production meeting a couple of weeks ago with them and was quickly
Oh,
escorted out by security. So
yeah.
it didn't work for
Yeah.
Steve. So just
Right.
really don't make any
Right.
rash
Okay.
Karim. Yeah,
I appreciate that, Mal. I think
that's
I'm going to
okay.
side. Yeah, I'm going to side with you, Steve. Just
Thanks.
give me some time, buddy. Give me some time. Yeah, it's interesting that song. Again, Prince, one of the greatest musicians ever to
Ever.
ever live,
Ever.
and uh, it's interesting because on some levels that's a sacred song, and
Mm-hmm.
actually I purposely kind of try to sing it my own way. I try not
Mm-hmm.
to. I couldn't sing it the way Prince sang it. Couldn't play it the way Prince sang it. I played it, but I can. So. Okay, a lot of this. I don't know why I think of this. When I was young, I had a hard time falling asleep, and my father would come into my bedroom and he would put his hand on my chest and he'd sing "Oh Danny Boy" to me.
Oh,
Oh.
And eh, so when it's interesting. I hadn't thought about that until right now.
mm,
But when I sing that song, when I sing Purple Rain, I think about my father singing "Oh Danny Boy" to me.
Wow.
And I sing it from that place of just being loved and being nurtured and cared for and being safe. And so I don't think about it as this monolithic piece by one of the greatest musicians to ever live. I think about it as we're going to be okay and we're going to get through this.
yeah.
And that's how I try to sing it.
What a wonderful story. What a great way to connect with a
Thanks,
song.
man.
I think that's the beauty of music, like I said earlier, how a song can be
Yeah.
interpreted completely differently to someone
Yeah.
else and then take you on another journey, yet you're sharing that journey with your fans.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Thanks, Mal. Yeah.
Now, as
Thanks.
we look at your top songs out there, there's always
Hmm.
requested ones. And the basis of the show is slightly around relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. The good and the
Uh-huh.
bad.
Are you
So
Uh-huh.
buckled up,
just
Matt? I'm just making sure you got
Yeah.
your safety belt on and harness. It's fine.
Yes.
Buckle
Okay.
up.
so
Buckle
we
up.
were
The
just
helmet
kind of
on.
curious.
Yeah.
We hear about some of the top songs. Like, tell us a great story about one of these top songs, because obviously you and I
Yeah.
are guys. Okay. We're
Yeah.
manly men. I can't play guitar or anything like that. We are
Right.
usually horrible dates. Okay. We are.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So we all kind of wonder, Matt, some of the
Yeah.
songs we're kind of wondering.
Tell
So
Matt
work
it's
Yeah.
with
first
me
date.
here.
That's so rude.
So let's go back to your first date. Do you remember
Yeah.
your first
Oh.
date and how
Oh,
bad it
oh, it
went?
was an
Because mine
oh.
was horrendous. Okay, mine was
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, I always had a hard time and continue to have a hard time expressing myself with regular words in
horrendous.
conversation. So it tends, when I sit down with a guitar and I think, wow, 5 years ago when I was having that conversation in real life, what I should have said was
Mm.
this, and I have more time to kind of be eloquent, or something approaching eloquent. Yeah, no, I was never good. I was never good with
Mm.
communicating with girls, and then young women, and then women. I
Sure.
still need to work on all of that. But that's why I write songs, Steve.
It kind of
To
reminds me. I don't know if you know Jim Croce's stuff at all. He wrote a song.
Sure.
He wrote a song. I can't. It essentially says, I don't know how to say I love you, but in a song. And that's what I
Yeah.
got from
Right.
that. It's kind of an interesting
Yeah.
thing, and that's why I kind of, yeah, I'm kind of joking along, but I struggled with
Yeah.
that myself. That's why I ended up in radio, because I get to talk to myself all day. So,
In a locked room. We lock him in.
so
Nice, Mel.
it's the truth. So, and
Yeah.
I would think
No.
both of you being songwriters, I
Right.
Mm.
envy that you're able to talk and communicate with someone that, or I do through a microphone.
So there's a songwriter named David Wilcox. Do you guys know who he is?
Not off the top
He's
of
okay. So he's more of a folk singer songwriter. Takes the stage with just an acoustic guitar, tells beautiful stories. But he had one of his songs. One of the lyrics in one of his songs is, "There's a break in the cup that holds love inside of you." And I feel like there's a break in my cup, right?
Mm,
And I I have all my life been trying to patch it up, and the love still
mm,
flows out. And I'm trying so hard to hold on to it because I know it's nurturing and I know it is healing. But for some reason, it dissipates, ebbs away. And yeah, so I'm always kind of coming from the place of trying to fix the stuff inside of me that's broken. And oftentimes that sort of comes from moments of reflection, things that I could have done better, people I could have treated
mm,
uh, you know better and with more kindness. And sometimes it's about me trying to treat myself with more kindness. I mean, I'm horrible to myself sometimes, and I got to work on that. I got to get better at it. But it's this constant patchwork. It's like the dam is coming through, and you're just trying so hard to sort of make yourself whole. And that's where most of the songs come from. Yeah, but I'm not a good date. I'm not a good date.
I
Oh,
missed. My
I
first
just,
kiss, I missed. So
you
what's wrong with
missed. What
that?
did you kiss? Oh my God. No, don't answer. Don't answer.
You close your eyes
Gosh,
and I missed.
Oh. Yeah.
You know,
kiss the mop in the broom cupboard. Come on, admit it.
it was bad.